Hello guys, welcome to another video. This one is paper 2-1 of May-June 2018 for Add Math. So in this video, we're going to be doing all the questions one by one and of course step by step. Now with that being said, let's move on to question number 1. So here we have A, B, C are subsets of the same universal set. It means we have set A, B, and C. So that's all that it means, okay? Now part 1, write each of the following statements in words. So the first one, as you can see, it shows A is not a subset of B. So this means is a subset, and this means is not a subset. Okay, that is for part A. Now for part B, it means that A intersecting C is equal to empty. It means that they do not meet. So basically you can write A and C, they are mutually exclusive. It means that they do not meet. Now you can just write otherwise, or you can write, so usually I will write so equal to the empty set. So A intersecting C is equal to the empty set. That's what I will write otherwise. Okay, that will be part B. Now for part 2, write each of the following in set notation. So here we have, there are 3 elements in set A or B or both. So number of elements in set A or B or both is 3. Okay, that is part A. Now for part B, X is an element, so X is an element of A but is not of C, sorry. So is an element of A but is not of C. So basically it is only element of A. So if you look at this diagram, if you do A intersecting C, so this is A, C, so it will be giving you this value. So basically X is only element of A only. That's why we have to write this. That is your question number 1. So here we have the variables X and Y are such that Y is equal to this equation for X is more than half. Okay, that is the domain for that equation. Now part 1 is we have to find dy by dx, so step by step. Dy by dx is equal to 1 over this value here, 3x minus 1, and we have to multiply by the differentiation of this value inside. That will be 3. Your answer will be 3 divided by 3x minus 1. Okay, so that will be part 1. Now for part 2 here we have to find hence. So whenever you see hence, it means to use the previous value that we have find, part 1. Find the approximate change in x when y increases from this value to this value. So we have to find approximate change in x is equal to, so it is dx by dy at the value of y equal to ln of 1.2 times the change, which is 0.125. So let's first find that. So from part 1 you have see that we have dy by dx. So part 1 we have dy by dx is equal to 3 over 3x minus 1. So from this, dx by dy is equal to 3x minus 1 over 3. Now what is the main equation again? The main equation we know is given to you by, from we have y is equal to ln of 3x minus 1. Now if the value of y is equal to ln of 1.2, what is the value of x? Replace, you will have ln of 1.2 on one side and ln of 3x minus 1 on the other side. So these two will cancel out, so you have 1.2 is equal to 3x minus 1. So 3x will be 2.2. So x here will be 2.2 divided by 3. Okay, so basically now we have to find the value of dx by dy when x equal to 2.2 divided by 3. So this will give you dx by dy is equal to 3 times 2.2 over 3 minus 1 divided by 3. So cancel out, you will have 1.2 divided by 3, that will give you what? 0.4. Okay, so now once you have this value, replace back in your main equation, which is this one. So approximate change in x is equal to 0.4 times 0.125. That will be 0.05 as your answer. That is your question number 2. Now let's move on to question number 3. So here we have a 7-character password is to be selected from 12 characters. Okay. Now each character may be used only once. Now we have these characters. Uppercase we have 4, lowercase we have 4 as well, and digits we have 4 as well. Everything we have 12, and we want to select 7 to form a password. Now part 1, we have to find the number of different passwords if there's no restriction. Okay, restriction, no restriction, so we have to fill out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces because we need to choose 7 characters from 12. Now for the first one we can choose anything. We have 12 choice, then you will have 11 choice, then you'll have 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Or you can just write it is the same as 12 permutation 7. It will give you the same answer as well. So 12 permutation 7, that should be 3991680. So these two are different methods, but they will give you the same values. Okay, that is for part 1. Now for part 2, we have to find if it has to start with a digit. So we have 4 digits, as you can see here. So again, same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 4 ways of beginning because we have 4 digits. And once you take out 1, for example, let's take out number 1, it is out. We will remain with 11 characters. Now from the remaining 11 characters, we can choose anything. So P of 6. So 4 times 11, P6. Because we need 7, right, in total. So 1330, 560 will be your answer. Now for part 3, now we have, so it contains 4 uppercase letters and 3 lowercase letters, such that all the uppercase letters are together and all the lowercase letters are together. Okay, so let's do this. So let's write down all the uppercase. We have A, B, C, D. Lowercase we have E, F, G, and H. So now we have to try case by case. So in one case you realize we have 7 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now we need these 4 to be together. Okay, so let's say we place them here, A, B, C, D. So by placing these 4 together, so the rest 3 can be together, right? So that is one option. Now we have another option. If you observe, let's try, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or you can place them in the end, A, B, C, D, right? If that makes sense, because you cannot put A, B, C, D, because in that case we will have 1 remaining here and 2, so it will not be together. So they have to be both together, right? The uppercase and the lowercase. So we have 2 possible options. Now let's find the option for 1 arrangement. Then we can just multiply by 2 afterwards. So let's find the number of arrangements for number 1. So first, when it is together, we have to write 4 factorial. Why? Because we can rearrange A, B, C, D among itself, if that makes sense, because we can put C here, B here, D here, among himself, we have 4 factorial ways of arranging themselves. Now we have to multiply by, for this one you can choose anything from here. So you can choose, you have 4 options, right? You have 4 options. Let's say we choose E, then you have 3 options. Let's say we choose F, and here you have 2 options. Let's say we choose G. So 4 times 3 times 2, that is times 24. That is for case number 1. So 4 factorial times 24, that is 576. So we just have to multiply by 2. So 576 multiply by 2. Why by 2? Because we have one case 1, case 2, they're the same but different. So they are same kind of procedures. We just place this in the beginning and in the end. So we have 2 times the same thing. That's why we have to multiply by 2 in this question. So you will have 1152. So again, just to explain again, so the reason why we take 4 factorial is because when placing the A, B, C, D together, they have 4 factorial ways of arranging among themselves. For example, I can write again as A, C, B, D, or I can write A, D, C, B. So keep going on. You will have 4 factorial ways of arranging among themselves because they are all different and they are together. Now this is done here. Okay. Now for the remaining 3, it is already assumed they are going to be together because when you place those 4 together, we only have 3 space remaining. So we know that they have to be together. We just can simply choose from them. So for the first one, you can choose any of those 4. You can have 4. And let's say we choose E. E is gone. We have 3 remaining, 3 options. F is gone. We have 2 remaining, 2 options. So we have this times this. You will have this. And now, of course, multiply by 2 because we have 2 possibilities. For the first one, we have these 4 in the beginning. For the second one, we have these 4 in the end. That's why we have to multiply by 2 for 2 possibilities. And this will be your answer for part 3. And that is your question number 3. Let's move on to question number 4. Do not use a calculator in this question, so we have to show every step of your work. So here we have, it is given that x plus 4 is a factor of p of x equal to this expression. Okay, now part 1, when p of x is divided by x minus 1, the remainder is b. So part 1, we have to show the value of a is equal to minus 23 and find the value of b. So pretty easy step by step. Let's first use this information. So p of minus 4. Now where do I get minus 4? I have to take the factor here, x plus 4. I have to equate that to 0. X will be minus 4. That's why p of minus 4 has to be 0 because it is a factor. There's no remainder. Now we have to replace this value back in the equation. You will have 2 minus 4 power 3 plus 3 minus 4 power 2 plus a times minus 4 minus 12 is equal to 0. So 2 times, so minus 4 power 3 is minus 64 plus 3 times 16 minus 4a minus 12 has to be 0. So 2 times minus 64 is minus 128 plus 48 minus 4a minus 12 is 0. So minus 4a, so minus 128 plus 48 minus 12 will be minus 93. Sorry, mistake here. Minus 128 plus 48 minus 12, 92 is 0. So minus 4a is 92. A has to be divided by 4 minus 4. That will be minus 23. So positive divided by negative will be negative. Now a, we have shown that the value is minus 23. So now we have to find the value of b. So to find this value, we have to divide by this one. So x minus 1 equal to 0. X will be equal to 1. So p of 1, what is the value? Let's find out. That will be 2. 1 power 3 plus 3, 1 power 2 plus minus 23 times 1 minus 12. That will be 2 plus 3 minus 23 minus 12. 2 plus 3 minus 23 minus 12. That will be minus 30. So your value of b will be minus 30. Okay, that is your answer for part 1. Now for part 2, we have to factorize p of x completely and hence solve the equation. So to factorize, we must find all the factors. So one way of doing that is to perform long division. So you have 2x cubed plus 3x squared minus 23x minus 12 divided by the factor that we know it is x plus 4. Now first step, how can you make x become 2x cubed? You have to multiply by 2 first and then x squared. You have 2x cubed plus 8x squared. Now simplify, this will go away. 3 minus 8 will be minus 5x squared minus 23x minus 12. Now next thing is make this become minus 5, so we have to times by minus 5x, right? We have to this become square as well. You will have minus 5x squared minus 20x. Now divide, now we have to minus, not divide, so this will go away. So minus 23 plus 20 will be minus 3x minus 12. Now to make x become minus 3, we have to multiply by minus 3. That will be minus 3x minus 12. And that will be 0. So if you write this down, you will have p of x is equal to x plus 4 times 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. So now we have to factorize this quadratic equation. You will have x plus 4 and then 2 brackets 2x times x to get 2x squared, and 3 is 3 times 1. To get minus 5, we have to have minus 6 plus 1. This is p of x, and we have to equate that to 0 to find all the solutions. So x will be minus 4, minus 1 over 2, and 3. That will be your solutions for the values of x. And that is your question number 4. Let's move on to question number 5. The function f is defined by f of x equal to this for x more than 2.5. That is the domain. So domain is defined by x values. So whenever you see x is more than something, that is called the domain of that function. Now part 1, we have to find an expression for f inverse of x. So as you guys know, the first step is to let y equal to f of x, which is 1 over 2x minus 5. Next step is to make x become the subject of formula. So we cross multiply, you will have 2xy minus 5y equal to 1. So 2xy equal to 5y, x equal to 5. So 5y divided by 2y, which is 5. So I think I made a mistake somewhere. Let me try again. So by cross multiplying, I will have 2xy minus 5y. Makes sense, right? And then I will have, oh yeah, I'm missing the 1 here. So that will be plus 1, plus 1. Right. So finally you have this. Here you go. F inverse of x, that will be 1 plus 5x over 2x. So that is your answer for f inverse. It needs to be in terms of x. That's why we changed the y to x eventually. Now for part 2, state the domain of f inverse of x. So you have to know something here. Domain of f inverse, it is equal to range of f. Now what is the range of f? Let's see. So according to this diagram, what is the range of f? You have to know. Let's see how can we find this from this shape. So usually we have to play with these numbers. So let's say the value here, let's say we take the graph, because that's the best way to find the shape, because if you have the graph, you know what's happening, right? This is your x values, this is your y values. And the range, of course, is the up and down values we're trying to find. So let's see. So we say x has to be more than 2.5. So x, let's say, is here, 2.5. Now, as x increases, what happens to this value here? So you can see here, when x is equal to 2.5, what happens? this will become 0. Value of the base becomes 0. But this we cannot find, that's okay. But as the value of x increases, the value of 1 over this value will decrease, right? It will approach the value of 0, as you can see. So basically, at this value here, it will be way up, and then it will approach this value. Okay, so basically from this you can see the range of this function is above the value of 0. So range of f is more than 0. So this means domain has to be in terms of x, has to be more than 0. That's the domain of f inverse of x. Okay, so that's pretty much it for part 2. Or basically you can just look at this directly, right? Because you don't even need to look at this one. Why? Because you have the function here already for f inverse of x. So a function cannot divide by 0. So basically 2 of x has to be more than 0. If that makes sense, right? So x has to be more than 0. So same two methods, you have the same answer. So that will be your answer. One is by looking at the graph, you realize has to be 0 and above, so more than 0. Or by looking at this, you know that this function cannot divide by 0, so it has to be more than 0. That's why it is like this. That is part 2. Now part 3, find an expression for f square of x, giving you us in this form. So you have to understand f square of x is actually equal to f of x. So f of x will be 1 over 2x minus 5. That will be 1 over 2 times x will be 2 times this, 1 over 2x minus 5 minus 5. So simplify, you will have 1 over 2 over 2x minus 5 minus 5. So here we have to simplify these two. You have 1 over 2 minus 5, 2x minus 5 over 2x minus 5. Now we can send this base to the top. So you will have 2x minus 5 over, here we have 2 minus 10x plus 25. That will be 2x, this, and you will have 27 minus 10x. Or we can write down as required here, we have to write down as a is 2x minus 5 over minus 10x plus 27. And that will be your answer for part 3. This is your question number 5. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, question number 6. So I believe in the question itself, this will be your region that has been shaded. Okay, now in the diagram we have AOB and DOC are sectors of its circle center O. Okay, that is good to know. Then the angle AOB is x radians, x, and the length of the arc AB is 40 centimeters. Okay, and the radius of OB is 16. Okay, now part 1, find the value of x. So we have to use the information that we are given to find the value of x. So first thing you realize is the length of the arc is 40 and the radius is 16. So how do you usually find arc length? As you guys must know by now, arc length is equal to r times theta. So theta here is x, so arc length is given by 40 is equal to radius times x. X will be 40 divided by 16. That will be 2.5. So x will be 2.5 radians. That will be part 1. Now for part 2, we have to find the area of sector AOB. So AOB is the big sector, so we have to use our formula. It is half r square theta, that will be half 16 square, and the angle will be 2.5. Half times 16 square times 2.5. That will be 320. centimeter square. Now for part 3, given that the area of the region is 140, we have to find the length of OC. So what is OC? OC is the radius of the small sector. So first off, we know that the area of that region is given by 140. So how do you find the area of the region? You have to observe. The way we find this is we first have to find the full area minus the area inside to get this area. So let's do that. So the full area we know already, it is 320, as we have done here. We have to minus the inner area, which is half. R squared, we don't know. Theta is the same, 2.5. That should be giving you 140. So we have to solve that equation for this value. So let's write this here. So we know 320 is the big sector minus the small sector have to give you the value of 140. Now simplify. You will have, send this over here, you will have minus half R squared 2.5 equal to 140 minus 320. That will be minus 180. So we have to make R squared become the subject. So this we have to multiply by minus 2 divide by 2.5. That will be 144. So R has to be root of 144, and that will be 12. So R is 12. As you observe, R is the radius of the small sector, which is OC. So R is equal to OC. OC is 12 centimeters. And that is your question number 6. Let's move on to question number 7. We have to differentiate with respect to x. We have 4x tan x. So now you can see these two, they are a product. So we have to use the product rule. So d by dx of this function. So we write the first one as it is, then multiply by d by dx of the second one, and then plus the second one as it is, multiply by d by dx of the first one. This will be 4x times sec square x plus tan x times 4. So you will have 4x sec square x plus 4 tan x. That will be your answer for part 1. Now for part 2, we have to differentiate this one again. This one is a product, so you have, sorry, it's a fraction, sorry, not product, fraction, so you have to use the quotient rule. So d by dx will be, first you have to write down the denominator as it is, so x squared minus 1 multiplied by d by dx of the numerator. Then minus, we have to minus the top as it is, so exponential 3x plus 1, then multiply by d by dx of the denominator, and then everything has to be divided by the base square. So simplify, you will have x squared minus 1 times exponential 3x plus 1 times 3 minus exponential 3x plus 1 times 2x divided by x squared minus 1 squared. Simplify, here you will have 3 exponential 3x plus 1 times x squared minus 1 minus 2x exponential 3x plus 1 divided by x squared minus 1 squared. So you can leave your answer just like that. That is enough for your marks. If you want to, you can of course factorize those values as well, but this is okay for your answer. That is question number 7, part 2. Now let's move on to question number 8. So we have an experiment here was carried out recording values of y for certain values of x. The variables x and y are thought to be connected by this relationship, where a and n are constants. Now part 1, we have to transform the relationship, which is this, into a straight line form. So what is a straight line form? So basically we are trying to say we want to transform this into a form where it looks something like this. This is your equation of a straight line. We have y against x. This will be your gradient, and this is your c. In this form, it is not exactly like this, but it just need to look like this. Now, by observation, you can see on the graph, they have used ln of y and ln of x. So that is a hint. In that case, to make y become ln of y, you have to apply ln on both sides. You have ln of y equal to ln of axn. Now we can break this one. You will have ln of a plus ln of x power n. So ln of y is equal to ln of a plus n ln of x. Rearrange. Ln of y is n ln of x plus ln of a. So that will be in the form of a straight line, because if you observe, that is basically like y equal to mx plus c. It is similar, so this one will be in your straight line form, where this value is m, your gradient, this is your intercept, as c. Now let's move on to the questions. So the values of ln y and ln x were plotted, and a line of best width is drawn. Now question, use the graph to find the value of a and n, stating the coordinates of the point you've used for that. So pretty easy again. So look at your graph and your equation. So we have ln of y equal to n ln of x plus ln of a. So first let's find the value of a. A is your y-intercept, so ln of a is your y-intercept, meaning it is where your graph cuts the y-axis. So here you have to use the point 0, this is what point? 4.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So using the point 0 and 4.7. So this value will be this value. So ln of a is equal to 4.7, which means a is equal to exponential 4.7. So let's find the value correct to 3SF. For 4.7, that will be 109.95, but 3SF will be 110. That is your value of a. Now let's find the value of n, which is your gradient. So we have to choose 2 points on the graph. So the first point we can choose is this point, which is 6, and this is the point 3.2. And we can choose this one as well. So we choose 2 points, which is 0, 4.7, and 6, 3.2. Now, you can choose any point you want to choose. You don't need to copy me. You can choose this point and that point. It is up to you. It is your choice, but you have to show which point you choose, okay? That is always your choice. Now, m is a gradient, but it is also equal to n according to your equation. That will be y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1 divided by 6. That will be minus 0.25. So here you go. You have n equal to minus 0.25, and a will be 110. Correct to 3SF. Of course, put 0 here, 3SF. That will be question part 2. Now part 3, we have to find the value of y when x equal to 50. So we have to use our equation here. So what do we have? We have ln of 50 equal to minus 0.25 for n, ln of x plus ln of a is equal to 4.7. So simplify. So this minus this divided by this. So we have ln of 50 minus 4.7 divided by minus 0.25. That will be this value. So x will be exponential of that value. So exponential of the value, that will be 23.4. Correct to 3SF. That is your value of x. Okay, and that will be your question number 8. Let's move on to question number 9. So first step is we have to express this in this form. So pretty easy. We have to complete the squares. So step by step always. So first thing, I'd like to rewrite the equation. So 5x squared minus 14x leave some space, write minus 3. Now, for those two, look at those two. We have 5 here, we have to make this become 1, so we take out 5, factorize 5, that will be x squared minus 14 divided by 5 will be what? That will be 2.8. So 2.8 x, we have to plus something, and that value will be the value here, which is 2.8 divided by 2 square. Now we have minus 3 here, and when you add something inside, you also have to minus the same value, which is 2.8 over 2 square. But since this was inside the bracket of 5, we also have to take out the value of 5. Now, for this value here, 2.8, we don't take the minus sign, we only take the value itself, which is 2.8, okay? So not the sign. Now we have to simplify. 5 is 5. X squared, we have to write x. This is minus, this becomes minus here. And the value inside will be 1.4. And we have square will be square. We have minus 3. And what is this value? That will be 1.4 square times 5. That will be minus 9.8. So you have 5x minus 1.4 square minus 12.8. So this will be your answer, where P, Q, and R are constants. So this is P, Q, R. That is part 1 of the question. Now, of course, you can write this down as fraction as well, and it will be okay as well for your answer. Now, for part 2, we have to sketch the graph of y on the axis below, showing clearly any points where your graph meet the axis. Okay, so pretty easy. A modulus graph means everything below your x-axis will be reflected above your graph. So let's do step by step. Let's try to first find out where it meets the axis. So let me use a different color here. So first thing, this graph is a minimum graph because if the coefficient of x-ray is positive, it has to be in this shape. Right. Now let's find out what is the minimum point. It is this value, 1.4 and minus 12.8. That is your minimum point, okay, of the graph. Now at the value of at x-axis, let's see. We know the value of y is 0. So let's solve. Now we have y is this, x-axis y will be 0. So you have 5 x minus 1.4 square minus 12.8 has to be 0. Let's find the two values of x. So we first have to send this over here. 12.8 divided by 5 will be 2.56. Square root of that answer, that will be 1.6. So x minus 1.4 is equal to plus minus 1.6. So x can be 1.6 plus 1.4 can be 3, or it can be 1.6 minus 1.6 plus 1.4 can be minus 0.2. So these are the two values where it cuts your horizontal axis. So let's first mark those 2 points, so we have some kind of a direction to help us. So let's mark this. So here we have 1, 2, 3. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 5. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, and minus 5. So at first I'll be drawing a graph. So I'll mark those 2 points, which is 3, and minus 0.2 should be somewhere about here. Okay, so these are the 2 points, and we also have the minimum point, which is 1.4 and minus 12.8. So 1.4 should be somewhere around here. So let's mark the point. So it doesn't need to be exact, it's only a sketch, but let's mark it here as well, no problem. And you will have your point should be, so let's say somewhere about here. That will be my minimum point, which is minus 12.8. Now your graph will look something. We also have to find the other point where it cuts your y-axis. So now you would say at y-axis, the value of x has to be 0. So let's see, what do we have? So 5, that will be 0 minus this, minus 1. So same thing, 1.4 square minus 12.8. That'll be minus 3. Okay, so at first it should be minus 3, somewhere about here, for example. So right now your graph I will do in 2 steps. So the real graph without the modulus will look something like this. Everything below I will draw with a brown pen. Okay, that is not the real graph. Okay, that is not the answer yet. So everything above I will draw with a blue line. Okay, that will be my graph. So it needs to be more symmetric. I think this is not great, but you will be using a pencil, so you have to draw this more symmetric. Now what happens is everything below this line will be reflected onwards, so you will have something. This will become about here, become about this value, for example. So your graph will look something like this. So you have to show this is the point 3, and this is your max point as well, which is 12.8, and have to label your graph as y modulus of 5x squared minus 14x minus 3. Now of course you have to erase this one because you don't need this part. It helps you to reflect onwards for the answer with the modulus sign. So just to recap, the modulus sign only means it cannot be negative. Anything below will be reflected upwards. That's what it means. And you have to show exactly where it meets your axis. So here we have to show this point, and here we have to show these 2 points. That is your question, part 2. Now for part 3, we have find the set of values of k for which this equation equal to k has exactly 4 solutions. Now if you observe, this is y equal to k has 4 solutions. So y equal to a constant k, it is a horizontal line. Now you have to test. Let's say I draw a line here. So since it cut my graph at 2 points, it has only 2 solutions. Let's say I draw a line here on top. It cuts my graph at 3 points. It has only 3 solutions. But now if I cut my graph here, it has 1, 2, 3, 4. My graph here, 1, 2, 3, 4. My graph here, 1, 2, 3, 4. But here it has 2 solutions. So you realize that between those 2 points, between the top and this baseline, it has 4 solutions. So y equal to k, where k has to be between those 2 values. So this and this, right? Between the value of 0 and the value of the maximum point, which is 12.8. That's where we have to write the values of k, for which we have 4 solutions, as you can see here. So this has to be a straight line, not going up, has to be a straight line. But of course, you will not be drawing this on the graph. This is just an example for you to understand what's happening. And this is the answer for part 3. So k has to be between 0 and 12.8 for it to have 4 solutions. Now this is your question number 9. Now let's move on to question number 10. A particle moves in a straight line such that its displacement s is equal to this equation for t is more than 0. Now we know the particle is at rest initially, so when t equal to 0, we know that v has to be 0 at first. Now part 1, find the exact value of t when the particle is next at rest. So pretty easy. At rest you have to know v is equal to 0. So here we have s is given to you by this equation. So what is the value of v? V is given by ds by dt. That will be 0 plus minus sine 3t times 3. That will be minus 3 sine 3t. Of course, we have to equate to 0 because it is at rest. Have to find the value of t. So sine 3t will be 0. So sine, you know you have 2 values. One will be in your first quadrant and one is in your second quadrant. So 3t will be sine inverse of 0, which is 0. This is 0. And this has to be 180 minus 0 that will be 180 degrees, but here we need in terms of radian, that will be pi radian. So 3t will be pi, so t will be pi by 3. So that will be your answer for part 1, exact value. Now for part 2, find the distance traveled by the particle between those two times. So time, so we have time at t equal to pi by 4 onto time pi by 2. But we know that it came to rest at pi by 3, it was right in between. So we have to find this into two parts. First we have to find this distance and then find this distance. So let's find one by one. Okay, so what it means, what happens is, so when it is here at this point, it goes in this direction, it comes to rest right here. But then when it comes to rest, it goes in the opposite direction. So you have to find the distance traveled here and the distance traveled here. So you have two separate distance to find the distance traveled in total. So this is of course this one and then this one. That will be d1 and d2. So let's find the value of s at each of those 3 times. So s at the value of t equal to pi by 4. That will be, s is given by 4 plus cos 3 pi by 4. So we have to use radians here. 4 plus cos 3 pi by 4. That will be 3.29289. S at t pi by 3. That will be 4 plus cos 3 pi over 3 cos pi. That will be 3. And then this will be s at t equal to pi by 2. 4 plus, so 4 plus cos pi will be 3. 4 plus cos 3, sorry, pi over 2. That will be 4. So we have to find this difference here and then this difference here. So this will be 3.29289 minus 3. That will be 0.29289, and this one will be 1. So in total, we have to add plus 1. That will be 1.29 meters. That is the distance traveled by the particle. So we only use this kind of trick whenever we know that it comes to rest in between those two values. Then we have to find this into two parts. Okay, that is part 2. Now for part 3, we have to find the greatest acceleration. That is at v equal to 0, but we know how to find a. A is dv by dt. So we know v is found to be minus sine 3t. Sorry, minus 3 sine 3t. So dv by dt will be minus 3 cos 3t times 3. That will be minus 9 cos 3t. Now when v equal to 0, the time is equal to pi by 3. So that will be minus 9 cos 3 pi by 3. That should be 9. So your value will be, acceleration will be 9 meters per second square. So the main point here is you have to find a equal to this equation. Then when do we have a greatest acceleration? When this equal to 0. So then we have replace the value, because we know that when v equal to 0, t equal to 0 or pi by 3, we'll take this one. So you will have this in this equal to this. And that will be your question number 10. Into one kind of function. So here we have sine and cos. We have to change that. As you guys know already, cos square x is equal to 1 minus sine square x. So replace this by this. You will have 10 times 1 minus sine square x plus 3 sine x equal to 9. That will be 10 minus 10 sine square x plus 3 sine x equal to 9. So you will have 10 sine square x minus 3 sine x. So 10. So we have to simplify this first as well. I forgot to simplify this. So 10 minus 9 will be 1. That will become minus 1. Because we're changing all the signs, that will become minus 1. Now we have to factorize. So 5 sine x, and this is 2 sine x. 1 is 1 times 1. To get minus 3, we have to have minus 5 plus 2. So sine x will be minus 1 over 5, or sine x will be 1 over 2. So let's find the values. So for this one, since sine is negative, it will be in your third quadrant and your fourth quadrant. The third one will be theta. So usually we use 180 plus theta. This will be 360 minus theta. So let's first find the value of theta. So whenever it is negative value, I like to use this trick. First find the value of theta. Theta is not your answer. Theta will be sine inverse of the positive value of 1 over 5. Let's see what that gives us. You have to be in degrees. 1 over 5, you will have 11.5. Now we can use this to find the value of x. X will be according to your quadrants. It is 180 plus this value. So 180 plus 11.5, that will be 191.5. Also 360 minus 11.5, that will be 348.5. That is your values for x when this is true. Now when x is positive, you know already, it will be in your first quadrant and your second quadrant. So pretty easy. X will be sine inverse of half. That will be 30 degrees and also 150. So your values will be x is equal to 30, 150, 191.5, also 348.5. And this is your values for x, part A. Now part B, we have to solve this equation. We have tan 2y equal to 4 sine 2y. So how can you simplify this? Let's observe. So first, let's convert everything to, so here we can convert this to sine 2y over cos 2y equal to 4 sine 2y. Now we can just cross multiply. You will have 3 sine 2y equal to 4 sine 2y cos 2y. Now send everything to one side. You will have 4 sine 2y cos 2y minus 3 sine 2y equal to 0. Now if you observe, you will have factorization of sine 2y. That will be 4 cos 2y minus 3 is equal to 0. So here you will have sine 2y is 0, or 4 cos 2y minus 3 is equal to 0. So this one will not be possible because the value of y is between 0 and 180 degrees. As you know, this will give you y will be 0 and 180, so you will not be qualified between those two values. Okay, wait, so I made a mistake here because here we have 2y, so it can be possible. Let's try that. Not the same. Y is this, but 2y is between 0 and 2 pi. So you see, we have to be careful. So that was a stupid mistake again. But let's go back to the question now. So cos 2y is 3 over 4. It is positive. Has to be in your first quadrant and your fourth quadrant. This is 2 pi minus theta, and this is theta. So 2y has to be cos inverse. Have to use radians of 3 over 4. That will be 0.723, and 2 pi minus answer 5.56. So y will be 0.723 divided by 2. That will be 0.362. 5.56 divided by 2, 2.78. That will be your two values of y. And what is this one? Let's check. This one will be, we have to look, it will be in your first quadrant and your second quadrant. So here we know already, 2y has to be 0 and pi, so y will be 0 and pi by 2. So 0 will not be good because it needs to be inside of 0, but this one will be good. So you see we would have lost one value if we take this out. We have one value remaining here. So check, y has to be 0.362. Convert this as well. Pi divided by 2 will be 1.57 and then 2.78. This will be your three values of y for this equation. As you can see, you have to be careful. You cannot just divide by this. You have to also try it out and see what are the answers, and if they are inside the domain, then you take it. If it is outside, then you can just remove it. So always step by step, okay? Now this is question B. Now let's move on to question number 12. Okay, this one is a long paper, so I hope you guys are following through this one. It is pretty long paper. So let's see what do we have here. So here we have a water container. It is in the shape of a triangular prism. This is the container. Now the diagram shows the container and the cross section. So to understand a cross section, for example, I have this is the top view. The cross section is the side view. Okay, that will be the cross section. This is what it means. Now it says the cross section of the water in the container is an isosceles triangle ABC. ABC is an isosceles triangle with these two sides are the same. Okay, now we know the angle ABC equal to angle BAC, which is 30 as well. Okay, so which means this angle is what? So 30, 90, this should be 180 minus 30 minus 90, that should be 60. So this angle here is 60. This is also 60. This is 90. Okay, now it says the length of the AB is x. As you can see, it is x here, and the depth of the water is h. The depth is this one, h. Now the length of the container is 5. That's the length of the container. So part 1, we have to show that x is equal to this value, hence find the volume of water in the container in terms of h. So one by one, we first have to show this. So how can you show this? Let's observe. Here we have a triangle. Okay, this is 90, this is 30, and this is x divided by 2 for one side. Now let's find the value of h, for example. Right? So how can you find h? We can use SOHCAHTOA, for example. So here we have this side, which is your A side. This is your, it is called your O side. So we have to use tan. So tan of the angle 30 has to equal to opposite side, which is h, over x over 2. Okay. Now we have to see what can we do now. So what is tan of 30? So let's find out. Tan of 30, so let's use degrees, is equal to this value, which is equal to root 2 divided by 2. So it's not that. So okay, 1 divided by root 2. See? So you have to know the exact values of the angles. It is helpful. So this is equal to 1 divided by root 2. H over x over 2. So now we have to simplify. We have to cross multiply. So this will go up here and this will go up here. So you have x over 2 is equal to root 2 times h. So we send 2 here now. You will have finally h. So x will be, wait, this is root 3. Let me check. Let me check because it seems to be weird. We have root 3 here. Let me see if that is correct or not. So tan of 30, that will be 1 divided by root 3. Oh, yep. So that was, I made a mistake again. You see, it is really easy to make mistakes because this has to be root 3, not 2. So basically, you have to know the exact value of tan 30 is equal to 1 over root 3. So if you don't know this, that's okay. You know that sine of 30 is equal to half. Okay, if you know this, you can find the rest. How? You have to draw your triangle here. For example, this is right angle. This is 30. What does sine mean? Sine means sine means opposite side over hypotenuse. This is your hypotenuse, this is your opposite side. So we can find this by using Pythagoras theorem. That will be right now let's call this one x. So we know that 1 square plus x square is equal to 2 square. So x square will be 4 minus 1, that is 3. X will be root 3. So now we have all the sides of this triangle. We can find tan 30. So tan 30 is equal to opposite side 1 divided by root 3. So that's how we know tan 30 is 1 over root 3. And it is best you memorize those values because those are exact angle values. So we have to know the angles for tan 30. So we have to know this. We have to know tan 60 as well. We have to know cos of 45. So all the functions for these angles 30, 60, and 45, you have to know what are the exact values for the trigonometric functions. So those will be tested in the exam all the time. So it's best if you just practice every day, memorize them for those exact values. If you don't memorize them, you can use this technique. You can just know for one and you can derive the other ones. But here you see that should be 3. When you cross multiply, you will have root 3 and you will have 2 root 3 h. So shown as required, 2x is equal to 2 root 3 h. Now we have to find the volume of the water. So how do you find volume of water here? You have to find the area of the cross section times the length. Okay, so that's how you find this. Volume is equal to area of cross section times the length. So cross section area can be found by using your formula if you want to. So it will be it is up to you. You can try using formula or you can just use this triangle. How do you find area of a triangle? Area of triangle is equal to half times base, which is x, and times height, which is h. Okay, so you have half times base, which is x and h, and then times the length is 5. Now we have to express that in terms of h, so replace the value of x by this one. So half times 2 root 3 h times h times 5. So these two will cancel out. You will have 5 root 3 h square. So that will be V, volume, in terms of h. That will be centimeter. What is the unit here again? We don't, it is in meters. So it is in meters. We have to write meters cube. So this will be your answer for part 1 of this question. Now for part 2, here we have the container is filled at a rate of 0.5 meter cube per minute. So this one is volume. So the rate is dV by dt is equal to 0.5 meters cube per second. At the instant when h is equal to 0.25. So we have to find the rate at which h is increasing. So we have to find dH by dt. So we have to form an equation by using the chain rule. This is equal to dH is on top, and here we have dt on the bottom. So what connects these two? It is of course dV and dV, right? So how can we write this? So this we know already. It is this, so we have to find this. So from part 1, we have seen that V is equal to 5 root 3 h. So here you can find dV by dH. That will be 5 root 3. So h square. That will be 2 times this. It will be 10 root 3 h for dV by dH. Now from this you have dH by dV is equal to, we have to flip this upside down, will be 1 over 10 root 3 h. So we have to find the value of this at h equal to 0.25. So 10 root 3 times 0.25, and then 1 divided by the value will be 0.2309. So dH by dt is equal to 0.32309 times 0.5. That will be 0.115, and that will be h will be meters per second. That will be dH by dt. Now for part B, we have to find the rate at which x is increasing. So we have to find dx by dt. So again, chain rule, dx. We must have something here and dt here. So have to be connected with what? According to this equation. So from the first question we have x equal to 2 root 3 h. So it has to be dh and dh. Now we know dH by dt is equal to 0.115 according to this one. We have to find dx by dh. So dx by dh is equal to 2 root 3. So you have dx by dt will be 2 root 3 times 0.115. That will be 0.4 meters per. X is actually the length of the, I think, what is x? Let's check. X is this one. It is the length. Has to be meters per second. So this will be the two values, dx by dt and dh by dt. So that will be your answer for this question. That is your question number 12, and that is your last question. So I hope that was somewhat useful. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you soon.